Ethan Mercer had driven freight across the country for almost 14 years. Long nights, empty highways, and hundreds of thousands of miles behind the wheel had taught him one important lesson. Roads could surprise you. GPS devices failed. Construction appeared overnight. Detours happened, but roads didn't simply appear where they had never existed before. At least they weren't supposed to. On October 18th, Ethan left Kansas City with a refrigerated trailer headed toward Nashville. The route was routine, one he'd driven dozens of times. Around 1:40 in the morning, traffic disappeared until the interstate belonged only to him. The radio faded into static. His phone briefly lost service. Then his GPS spoke. "Take exit 43 in 2 miles. Ethan frowned. There was no exit 43 on this stretch of interstate. He checked the overhead signs. Exit 42. Then nothing. The next exit should have been exit 45, almost 15 miles ahead. He assumed the GPS had glitched. 30 seconds later, another voice came through the speakers. "Take exit 43. This time it sounded different. The words weren't robotic anymore. They sounded recorded by a real person. A calm woman, almost whispering. Ahead, his headlights illuminated a green highway sign. Exit 43. Unknown route. No services. Ethan instinctively slowed. He had never seen the sign before. He'd driven this interstate so many times, he could almost recite every exit from memory. Curiosity got the better of him. He turned the wheel. The ramp curved sharply into darkness. The moment he left the interstate, his radio returned. Crystal clear. Country music. Weather reports. Traffic updates. Everything normal again. Except when Ethan glanced into his mirrors, the interstate behind him was gone. Not hidden by trees. Not blocked by fog. Gone. Only darkness remained where 4 lanes of highway should have been. His dash camera captured everything. The footage was later examined frame by frame. Investigators found no edits, no missing frames, no visual effects. The highway simply vanished. The road ahead narrowed to 2 cracked lanes, surrounded by dense forest. No reflectors, no lane markings, no houses, nothing. His GPS displayed a blank gray screen. No roads, no location, just one sentence. Continue forward. 20 minutes later, the trees ended all at once. A town appeared. Every storefront was dark. Every streetlight glowed with the same dull yellow light. Every traffic signal blinked amber, never changing. A gas station stood on the corner. Its fuel prices were still displayed. The sign looked untouched, but every fuel pump had been removed decades ago. Across the street sat a diner. The neon open sign buzzed softly. Inside, every chair was perfectly arranged. Coffee cups rested on tables. No steam rose from them. Yet they looked as though someone had stood up only seconds earlier. Ethan stepped inside. The air smelled fresh. Not dusty. Not abandoned. Fresh coffee. Warm pancakes. He called out. No answer. Then, a clock hanging above the kitchen caught his attention. 2:43 a.m. He checked his phone. No signal. 2:43 a.m. His truck dashboard visible through the front window. 2:43 a.m. None of the clocks moved. Not 1 second. As he turned to leave, something outside made him freeze. His truck was no longer parked where he'd left it. It was rolling slowly down the empty street. No headlights, no driver, and it was heading toward the only building in town with its lights still on. Only building in town with its lights still on. Ethan sprinted out of the diner. The truck continued rolling at walking speed, as if someone invisible had their foot lightly resting on the accelerator. He shouted, "Nothing." The engine wasn't running. He was certain of that. He had turned it off before going inside. Yet the truck kept moving. Its tires made almost no sound against the cracked pavement. The only noise in the entire town was the faint hum of old streetlights. He chased it for nearly a block before it finally stopped in front of the lit building. It wasn't a house. It wasn't a store. It looked like an old courthouse, though every sign identifying it had been removed. One light glowed from the second floor. Every other window was dark. The driver's door of the truck slowly creaked open by itself. Ethan stood frozen. Then from somewhere inside the building, he heard 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. He looked around the empty street. No one. The knocks came again, this time louder. Against every instinct he had, Ethan walked toward the entrance. The front doors were already open. Inside, the building was spotless. No dust, no cobwebs. The floor looked freshly polished. Rows of framed photographs lined the hallway. At first, they appeared ordinary. Families, children, shop owners, police officers. Then he noticed something impossible. Every photograph included the exact same man. Sometimes he stood in the background. Sometimes he smiled beside a family. Sometimes he wore a police uniform. Other times a doctor's coat. In one picture, he was a child. In another, he looked nearly 80 years old. Yet his face never changed. He looked directly at the camera in every single photograph. As Ethan continued down the hallway, the temperature dropped. His breath became visible. A grandfather clock stood at the end of the corridor. Its hands pointed to 2:43. It wasn't ticking. Still, the pendulum was moving. Back and forth, back and forth, without making a sound. A door beside the clock slowly opened. Inside was a room filled with shelves. Hundreds of cassette tapes. Every tape had a date written on it. Some were decades old. Others had dates years into the future. One tape sat alone on a wooden desk. It had only one label. ETHAN Mercer. October 18. He stared at it. His hands shook as he picked it up. Next to the tape sat an old cassette player. Already plugged in. Already waiting. He hesitated, then pressed play. Static filled the room. For several seconds, there was nothing else. Then, his own voice came through the speaker. Breathing heavily. Panicked. I shouldn't have come inside. Ethan ripped the headphones away. The recording continued. His voice sounded exactly as it had only moments before. I found the pictures, the tapes. If anyone ever hears this, don't look upstairs. He felt his stomach tighten. He hadn't gone upstairs. Not yet. The recording continued. I thought I could leave. A loud crash echoed through the speaker. Then footsteps. Running. His own terrified breathing. They know when you hear this. Silence for nearly 10 seconds. Then one final sentence. They're behind you. Ethan slowly turned around. The room was empty. He let out a nervous laugh. I'm losing it. Then he noticed something in the cassette player's reflection. Someone was standing in the doorway, perfectly still. A man wearing an old truck driver's jacket. The same jacket Ethan was wearing. The man smiled. It was Ethan, only older. His hair was gray. His face was scarred. His eyes looked exhausted. Without speaking, the older Ethan raised one finger and pointed toward the staircase at the end of the hall. Then every light in the building went out. Toward the staircase at the end of the hall. Then every light in the building went out.